Warning, the following presentation is packed with nerd talk. It will help you gain a decent grade in high-level IB psychology. Actually, don't take my word for it, but there's a lot of nerd talk. I warned you. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Jan. Let me talk to you about social identity. We each have our economic identity, our cultural identity, but what embraces all these separate identities? Our social identity. Social identity theory, or SIT, explains how the simple act of belonging in a group will inevitably lead to developing prejudice against people outside of your group. Clearly, extents to which prejudice is formed differs. Most of us lie in the grey area, which is probably the most convenient place to be. Extremities are rare, so there's a very small proportion of people who downright hate anyone outside of their social group, and same goes for the people who don't have an ounce of prejudice for people outside of the group. SIT demonstrates also the actions that precede the development of prejudice. We are constantly, actively pursuing our die-hard desire to belong. SIT adheres to the first principle of the social cultural level of analysis in psychology. Humans are social animals. We feel the need to belong. Let me bring you through the four main stages of the social identity theory. Social categorization, which divides the social environment into the in-group, where the individual belongs, and the out-group, where everyone else is. This automatic divide reduces the perceived variability within the in-group, as well as reducing the perceived variability in the out-group. A landmark thought during social categorization is increasing, however, the perceived variability between the in-group and out-group. The category accentuation effect takes place as you put yourself into a group. Sounds straightforward enough. Think of walking into a party. Or if you're at uni, meeting your floor mates for the very first time in the common room. You've got to move somewhere. Unless you happily float around the room solo, you migrate towards a group, or even a single person. That is social categorization. The next step is social identification. Your social identity is a self-maintained concept based on your membership in different social groups. Social identity is not the same as personal identity. Personal identity is your interpretation of personality and relationships. Social identity is your integration into the culture that is unique to your group, which shapes and becomes a very large part of your social identity. Think of inside jokes, common practices, like how you and your group of friends, your social group, find it totally normal to just use each other's school bags as pillows to chill on, or how it is entirely normal for you guys to be sarcastic 200% of the time. Such behaviors within a group are determined by the individual social identity of each member. This is actually a positive feedback system where your social identity informs the group's behavior, which reshapes your social identity, which develops the group's behavior, and so on and so forth. You feel me? People have several slightly different social identities because we experience different types of events in our life, right? You are defined by your social identity and your personal identity. The bottom line is, evaluate some common practices specific to your social group. They are probably not as common to people outside of your group. Social identification informs social categorization. The third and fourth stages of social identity theory are linked. What is this? Social comparison and positive distinctiveness help us strive for a positive self-concept. Let me elaborate. A human's desire for positive distinctiveness encourages one to prove that the in-group is superior to the out-group. This leads to social comparison, which is very often ethnocentric. Because of the initial making sure that we are better than them kind of attitude, a positive social identity is established. But it's not all good, because frequently during the process of positive distinctiveness, the in-group will intentionally sabotage the out-group. Face it, humans are selfish. It's the art of the fight for survival. It's the evolutionary miracle of natural selection. Okay, enough of bio, back to psych. You make your group seem better than the out-group, or at least you try, in order to, boost your self-esteem. Intergroup behaviors, based on social identities, as you now know, exhibit a few general characteristics. Ethnocentrism, so kind of like stereotypes, but not as solid. This leads to in-group serving bias. If we perform well, it's because we are good at what we do. It's because of dispositional, inherent factors. Our team won the relay because we trained day and night and our team is awesome. But, wait. If we perform poorly, it's not our fault. It's most definitely not our fault. It's because of situational factors. Oh, okay. Our team lost the relay because the track was slippery. It's not our problem. Do you get it? Another thing, in-group favoritism and out-group denigration. This relates to social comparison and positive distinctiveness. Stereotypical thinking. This relates to social categorization when picking out the in-group and the out-group. And one last thing, conformity. Conformity to in-group norms, acting by behavioral standards set by the group. This is especially relevant to establishing your social identity. Remember the positive feedback system? I'm almost done. You may want to check out studies by Solomon Asch and Henry Tejvel on the social identity theory. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Just to expand your knowledge on this concept, to recap, social identity theory is constructed by social categorization, social identification, social comparison, and positive distinctiveness. The ultimate goal of creating a social identity is to feel like we belong. Remember the first principle of the socio-cultural level of analysis in psychology? Humans are social animals. We feel the need to belong. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jan and I'll see you on Friday. Bye! Social identity. Pursuing our desire. No. What? There.